I'm sitting down with worship leader and songwriter Anjin Teal from Influence Music. We're diving into her personal journey of healing, her heart behind her new music, and more. You don't want to miss this conversation because Kingdom Builder starts right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bodie.
This is Shanae.
Hey, this is Jamie McDonald.
What's up? I'm Laverdier.
What's up, y'all? This is Seth Schleter.
Hey, what's up, family? This is Jeremy Rosado, and you are tuned in to Kingdom Builder. Listen, I am so excited for what God's doing in this season. You can check out Kingdom Builder if you're listening or watching. It's an honor to be here, to be a part of this. Keep checking my family out, and check me out wherever you listen to music.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Laxton and welcome to Kingdom Builder. Today I'm excited to introduce you to a rising voice from Influence Music, Anjin Teal. We're going to dive into her journey, her music, and what God is doing through her voice. Anjin, welcome to Kingdom Builder.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you today on Kingdom Builder. I know we've gotten to talk to Melody actually about her EP that she had several months back, who's also a big part of course, of Influence Music there. But today we're talking about you because there is this new project that the collective has put out, and would love to hear a little bit more about what you've got going on there. But before we do that, for those kind of meeting you for the first time, can you share a little bit about who Anjin is and your background and how you got first connected with Influence Music?
Yes. Okay, well, hi, my name is Anjin Teal. I'm 20. I first started coming to Influence Church when I was about, I'd say 12 or 13 years old. So it's been a little while. And when I was 14 years old, I grew up in the church, but when I was 14 years old is when I really had an encounter with the Lord. It was when COVID first hit, and it was actually crazy because I was alone in my bedroom, and I remember I'd kind of been like questioning, like, Lord, are you even real? Are you there? I was just very overwhelmed at the time, as I know a lot of us were, and the Lord just met me in my room, and I felt his presence, I felt his love, and I was like, I'm giving everything to Jesus. It just radically transformed me. And I remember probably a month after that was when I felt the Lord put on my heart that I needed to start leading worship. And I had done performing all the time growing up and show choir and musicals, whatever. So I loved singing, but I felt God call me to worship. And I came to some of our team. I know Whitney and Drew, her husband, and spoke to Melody and just kind of started getting involved with the worship here. And at the same time, on Thursdays, they were kind of doing these random writing groups for whoever wanted to write music. And so I was like, I'll try writing music, and kind of got involved with that. And then when I was 15, Melody invited me to an Influence Music writing retreat. And I wrote my first song with them, Straight to Your Heart. And that kind of was like the start of everything. And I was still leading worship, began leading more in youth and on main stage. And writing more. And it's honestly been crazy to just see kind of the doors the Lord has opened. It's definitely been a journey for sure in my own personal life. But yeah, just like my love for music and songwriting and the team that I'm a part of. And then just obviously the way that my walk with the Lord has just grown and stretched, my love for him, that he would just be magnified. And yeah, that's a little bit of me just summed up pretty quickly, but yeah.
I was going to say, a lot of it probably came up really quick, especially I know that you Influence Music is coming this year of winning a We Love Award as well for worship team, and I think it was worship team, but it's great to see where God's taking you, and again at the age of 20, just God's really working through you. But I know there's a little bit of a story there as far as a powerful season where you lost your voice for 6 months and then experienced God's restoration. Can you tell us how that shaped way about how you approach worship today, and a little bit about that story?
Yes, for sure. Okay, well, during my junior year of high school, I was kind of like, I guess you could say like the it girl of show choir and musicals and all that kind of stuff. I kind of like getting all the solos and the leads was kind of everything I'd ever dreamed of at that point. I was 16. I was like, I just want to be the lead. And I had achieved that. And so I was singing all the time in high school, and we were in competition season, and I was singing doing worship here and all this kind of stuff. And eventually kind of noticed a pain starting in my voice. And it's so excruciating to the point that even when I just like was breathing, like the air on my vocal cords was really painful. And I went to the doctor. They told me that my vocal cords were really inflamed, and that I couldn't sing or barely speak for a very long amount of time. And it honestly felt like it wasn't even getting better. I started going to voice therapy, and I remember coming home, like driving home from the doctors with my mom, And I broke down, obviously, and was just really struggling with my identity. I had put my entire identity and self in my voice. And I remember looking at her and being like, if I can't sing, like, I don't know what I'm good for. Like, I don't know what does God even want to do with me? Like, who am I anymore? And my mom looked at me and she's like, Anjin, like your voice, your singing voice, you leading worship, that's not who you are. That is something that you're able to do, but this is not who you are. And she really spoke into my identity. It was like, you are a daughter of Christ. This is who you are. And I still kind of wrestled with it for a while after. But I remember during those 6 months, the Lord completely transformed my idea of worship, because for so long it had been singing on a stage and leading in a room. And that's what my whole thought process was and what my mindset was. And I was like, God, how do I worship you without a voice? And I learned all these different sides of his character and who he was, and was brought deeper into this intimate place with him where I was just able to learn his heart for me, learn his heart for other people. How can I serve others? How can I worship him through service? Like, and just praying and all that, all those different things. And I remember I eventually got to a point where I was like, okay, God, like if my voice never comes back, I'll be okay. Because it's like, I've completely found myself in you. You are like, I was just like, Lord, you are everything. And all these different, singing is one thing, but it is not who I am. And it is a gift I had for a while. And if it doesn't come back, it's okay, because I just want to worship you and praise you and speak to other people about you. And yeah, it definitely shifted my intimate relationship with the Lord. And then eventually I was at a youth camp, and it was my first time being back on stage, and I was in so much pain, but I just wanted to sing so bad. And I was like, it's fine, I'll get through it. And I remember some leaders came up to me and they were talking to me about my voice. And I was like, yeah, I've actually been in a lot of pain. And they're like, well, can we pray for you? As my youth pastors, they're amazing. And I remember one of my youth pastors, she put her hand on my throat and started praying over me. And I literally felt it like move. It was the craziest feeling. And she even said she felt it like click in her hand. And I knew instantly, like, oh my gosh, I was healed, like in a moment. And I just started breaking down sobbing. I started running around the camp at this point. I was 17. I was like running around. I was like, everyone, I'm healed. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm healed. Just like sobbing, because I was like, I did not, honestly, I was kind of like, okay, it's fine. It's never going to come back. And so, yeah, it definitely completely transformed the way that I worship the Lord, and the way that I know him, like his heart and his character for me, and my identity as his daughter. So, yeah.
It's, you give that, when you find that identity of who you are, and then you kind of surrender to that, then that's when God's like, okay, now I'm going to use you the way I want to use you. And so it's, put you through those trials, and you will get that through life all the time. So that's just amazing, just to see where God has led you through that. And now that's become your testimony, and to really just to really use that for his purpose. And, it's just an awesome story to hear what he's done for you there. But one of the reasons we're here talking today is Influence Music just came out with a new album called One True God. You have a couple of songs on there that you're featured on. One of them is I've Got Joy. So let's talk about that a little bit. What inspired the song, and how would you describe its sound and message to someone who hasn't heard it yet?
Okay. What inspired the song? So when we first walked into the writing room, I remember I was sitting down with Michael Barkulis and Jeff Pardo. And I remember just being like, because I was kind of going through a little bit of a storm at that point, and I was like, we need an anthem that I feel like sometimes when we're kind of going through things, we can kind of cling to the like sadder worship songs in a sense, where it's just like, oh, this hits a little bit more. I was like, no, like we need an anthem that's like, even when I'm going through the depths of life, like, or even on the highs of life, like I have joy because of the Lord. Like that is where my joy comes from. And I've experienced this in the past where there have been seasons of like chaos, and it's like, okay, well, I'm still so joyful because I have Jesus. Like, and that, is all I need. And so I was like, we need an anthem for the people that are going through the depths, that are going through the valleys. And so that was kind of the heart of this song. It's like, on my brightest high or on my darkest day, whatever happens, like I have the joy of the Lord. And the world, I love that line, like the world can't take it away from me. Like it's because it's not found here. It's not found on this world. It's not found in people. It's not found in things. Like this is true joy that only comes from Jesus. So yeah, it just became like an anthem of when you're going through the storm, which I love.
And it's
So,
it's kind of catchy too. I know it's got that almost like a roll down the window quality to it that you have
yes.
with the song. But there's another one that I particularly like really a lot is the song "How You Do It." That's
Yeah.
kind of the one that you guys have been pushing really, really strongly here. How does that song differ from "I've Got Joy," both musically and in its message?
They have very different feels as songs. I really love How You Do It. It's become one of my personal favorites. And we actually wrote How You Do It about 2.5 years ago. It was an older song that kind of got lost in the sauce a bit. But it is a song of when you are sometimes, it has a similar feel to I've Got Joy in the sense that it's like when you're kind of walking through different things. But it's like sometimes we walk through different trials in life and we seriously come to this point where we question like, God, I don't know how you're going to bring me out of this. And I've been in that own place, that place in my life before and been like, Lord, how are you even going to move in this? Like, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't get it. But you have proven time and time again your faithfulness, your goodness, your steadfastness, and the Lord never changes. And so if he's done this and he's come through here, like he will do it again. And honestly, when we first wrote it, I really loved it. I was like, oh, it's a song that honors the Lord, but it wasn't something that hit as close as it does now. And I think in the past 2.5 years, I've walked through many different things, hard things in life and losing people and all this kind of stuff and moments where I've truly been like, God, how are you going to bring life out of this? How are you going to get me through this situation? And this song has been an anthem of he can do it. I may not see it, I may not understand, but he has brought beauty from dust and death into life, and he is a God that always comes through, and he will again. Like, and yeah, it's a different message from I've Got Joy, which is just the joy of the Lord and how great he is that he fulfills that place when we are like struggling. And then How You Do It is that I always encourage people. I'm like, you can come to him with your questions. He's not afraid of your questions. Like that's what saved me is when I was like, God, where are you? Like you can come to him with that and he will always respond. He's faithful to that. So I love the message of that song too.
So, for me, when I think of How You Do It, I think of, it's God's going to make something happen out of everything, whether it's something that we want or not, that's not our decision, but he's going to work everything toward his purpose. So
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think of when I hear the word How You Do It. So kind of looking broadly at the whole album together, let's say that we're not going to, I know kind of How You Do It is kind of your favorite personally, but except for the two, How You Do It and I've Got Joy, what would you say would be another favorite on the One True God album?
Definitely another one of my favorites is Easy Surrender, which is Matt Pelt's song. I was literally talking to him about this morning. This song, we led it yesterday in service, and it wrecks my heart every single time we sing it. It's one of those that will never get old. It's just so good. And I think because it truly is, I think, everyone's testimony that is in the church of, the Lord knows we have a history and we have a past, yet he sees the diamonds within us. He looks at us and sees us sanctified and holy and righteous and blameless. Like, and for my personal testimony, the revelation of God's love for me and the fact that he wanted me and chose me, that is what brought me to fully give everything. And so this song, Easy Surrender, it's one that I connect to because I'm like, dang, that's my story. Like, and every time, Matt's also just an amazing vocalist and such a pure heart. And you can even feel that just in the recording of the song. And so that's probably one of my other favorites that I listen to a lot because it is such an easy surrender because of how good he is, because he is so faithful, so loving, chooses us in our brokenness. I'm like, Lord, let me give you everything. So.
Now, another thing I love about this album is that it takes, like you have two songs that you kind of featured on. A couple of the others have a song or two that they're featured on. You've got this blend of voices and styles, and so it's that really defined who Influence Music Group is as a whole. So, from your perspective, what do you believe the overall message or heartbeat is of this album?
I believe that the heart behind this album is that the church, the capital C church, the entire nations, the church would just see the Lord, see Jesus as the one true God. There are so many other distractions, idolizations, things that have stirred up in this world, I think especially in the current time we're in, and people get so easily lost in other things. And I believe it's important that we see him for who he is. He is the one true God, and there is nothing that will ever compare to him. And I think especially just I was kind of sharing this with some team today, is in the end of everything, it'll just be us and Jesus. It won't be our families and all of our friends and then the Lord, and our church communities and then the Lord. It's like we stand one and one before the King, like when it comes to judgment. And my heart, and I think the heart behind this album, is that we would see the Lord for the glory of the King that he is. Like he is loving and kind, but he's also righteous and holy. And he is the one true God. And this is his character, this is his heart. And I think the songs on this album also reflect truly the heart of the Lord and who he is and why we respond. And so my heart is that with this album, people would see why to respond to who he is, and that they would just fall deeper in love with him, that he would be magnified.
I like that. Definitely a very powerful message that, again, you mentioned idols, and again, that I think you said recently, that's been a big thing, idolizing recently, idolizing different things, different people, different, whatever it is. So really just having that, that message saying, hey, there is one true God is very important to really just stand by that. So looking at, the recording process, again, you've got this, group of awesome worshipers that you work together on, a few different albums together and things like that. Were there any particular moments in studio or even worship nights that stood out in the development of this particular album?
I think there have been moments where as a team, we have kind of worshiped through some of these songs together. And I think just those moments of encouraging one another, especially even before the album came out and even since it came out, like the way that I think us as a team are so unified and so loving unto one another and just encourage each other in these songs. And that's what we've been praying as a team, is that there would be a unity. I've just seen the overflow of that when we lead together as well. And I think especially with these songs, like it's so special to worship with them together and to worship with each other's songs that we're each featured on, and then to lead them out. It feels very unifying as a team and as a body, and just also very pure in heart. Like every time I feel like before we went into writing rooms, we would just have these moments where we would just obviously pray and invite the Spirit, but it truly felt like worship while we were writing. Not like, oh, let's just fill the line and move on, whatever. But it's like, no, we want to do these songs correctly before the Lord. We want them to be the right word, the right heart behind it. Like, let's fight to get that right lyric, that Holy Spirit is on it. And so I feel like after, doing this album, working on it together, far more unified as a team. Our heart is all set for the same goal, that this would be pure worship before him. And so, I think with worshiping through them together and then also leading them on a stage, it's just unifying, and then glorifying the Lord together is so special with everyone.
It's awesome to see that just that process has grown your team together. And we're hoping to, we're going to get more awards here in the future as well to just show that. Because I remember watching the video of when you guys got announced as the winner of the We Love Award, and it's like you could just see the joy the whole team has together, just really going up there and really celebrating. Let's look about more of you again, Anjin, to see everyone has kind of their influences, their style. Of course, you've got some history there in show choir as well as musicals and things like that. If you had to describe your sound or influence or compare it to other artists, who would they maybe place you at a table with, or who would they think of?
I honestly think it depends on the style of the song I'm singing, but one of the biggest influences that has been on my life and that I've also been compared to as I've gotten older is Kim Walker-Smith. I began listening to her music when I was about 4 years old and went to her concert when I was 10, and I remember I met her and I was just like awestruck by her. And I told her, I want to be just like you when you grow up. And I remember she looked at me and she was like, it all starts with loving Jesus. You just need to really love Jesus. And so now to have grown up and I've now led with her multiple times, written music with her. And it's like, she was someone for me that I really looked up to as a young age too. Just the way that she loves the Lord, her just power and her voice that she carries. It's not just a powerful voice, but it's also there's authority when she leads. She is someone that I truly look up to and that people have said my style can be similar to. And then I believe that sometimes when I'm singing different styles of worship music, I've been told I can sound like or be like Abby Gamboa, which is high praise. She's amazing. Would love to meet her or work with her one day. Her album Pure was my top streamed album last year. And I really love I feel like her style of music that she writes, and I know she just released another album too, her style of music that she writes is very different than like CCM and classic stuff. And it's what I really love and would love to create more of as well. And so, yeah, she's definitely an artist that I look at her music and it's definitely something that I really connect with and would love to write like a little bit more too.
I was gonna say, I think Abby is definitely one of my favorite worship leaders for sure. Again, very similar reasons of when I have in my rotating playlist, my worship set, it's always maybe every 2 or 3 songs is one of hers that she's written. So I can totally agree with that and follow along there. So in creating One True God, was there maybe a time when God just kind of surprised you in a way that you didn't expect along the way?
I think honestly with the song How You Do It, because it kind of came up out of nowhere. It kind of disappeared, like I said, for about a year and a half and got brought up last fall where it kind of got discovered again, I think just in computer files. And yeah, I think that the fact that song is now something I so cling to, it's definitely the timing of the Lord. Because if it had come out earlier at a different time, I think it would have meant something a little bit different. And I definitely was like, and I have told people, I'm like, that was definitely a God thing that it was released at this time and recorded at the time that it was, because I think it carries a different authority over it. And yeah, just in my life too, like I said, it's something I cling to now. And I'm just like, Lord, this was so evidently you, like you knew that it was supposed to come at this time in my life because of things I've walked through and just other people too that have come up to me and been like, dang, this song, when I'm walking through this right now and this right now, like this song is ministering to me. And it's just so cool to see the fruit of it. And I'm like, Lord, you knew it was supposed to come out now. So that's probably like one of the coolest things. There's probably so many, but yeah, that's one of them.
All right, awesome. Well, here's a fun question. So you can't use anyone you've already mentioned so far, but if you could do a duet with any artist in the Christian space right now, who would it be and why?
I feel like it would be fun to try stuff in the style of Forrest Frank. So if I could ever do something with him, that would be really fun to do something a little bit different and funky like that. If I was doing something a lot more just a different style, a little more heartfelt and intimate. I really love Stephanie Gretzinger, and I love her heart for worship. And I would love to write something with her, worship with her. Would probably be someone I'd love to collab with.
Okay, I mean those are 2 different names, kind of different spectrum wise,
Very
but I can see Forrest Frank because he's definitely gone through different genres and in his just he's done so many different things there. So and it's Stephanie too. It's I can see that. We never know what'll happen. We'll see what happens in the future. But speaking of future, let's look ahead. I know, of course, One True God just came out, so I know that's been a big push lately. But what's next for Anjin? More writing, more leading, maybe stepping further into the spotlight with solo projects. What are we looking at?
I mean, I think honestly, I'm just going wherever the Lord leads. Right now, I've definitely been writing a lot more. I've been pretty much writing every single day and trying to hone in that skill a little bit more, spending a lot more time with the Lord in the writing music sense. I would love to learn. I'm currently learning how to produce on my own, just so I love having a little bit more than just a voice memo on my phone. I think it'd be nice to have a little more than that. So I don't really know what that will all look like, but I do know I will never stop writing, never stop leading, and that is where my heart is. And I've recently started leading worship at other churches and other events more often. And it's been really cool to see the Lord kind of open those doors to people that I never really thought I'd get to minister to or lead. So it's I feel like more is kind of opening up and more is starting, and I'm just going wherever the Lord's leading me.
Once you get that writing bug, you never want to stop doing it.
Yes.
My daughter, she just turned 13, and she's just starting to get a hang of doing a little writing herself and kind of being a little lyricist on her own. So I'm cheering her on and just see that it's an amazing talent that God puts in yourself as well as other songwriters and artists that just really puts out some amazing music. So. Last question before we wrap up today. If you had to sum up in one sentence the why behind what you're doing in this season in music, what would it be?
That Jesus would be glorified. That's my one sentence. That he'd be magnified and glorified.
I mean, you can't really do much more than that, I guess.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to who are the one true God and really who we look to for everything. And Anjin, again, thank you so much for just spending some time with us to get to know who you are as a person. Again, super excited about what you're doing and what Influence Music is doing here in this current season, and really, hoping and praying that God continues to bless you and your team for everything down the future as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, share, and leave us a comment below. You'll find links in the description to connect with Anjin and explore more of her music. And as always, this is Mike Laxton reminding you to keep Christ first in your lives, and everything else will fall into place.